Well, tomorrow I have to go back to court, see what the judge says about the situation, and I'm prepared. If I have to go to jail, I'm prepared on that. If I gotta pay a fine, I'm prepared on that. But I'm really hoping that he dismisses the charges, because I literally called 911 for help when my family and I was being harassed by individuals, and each time that I called, no meaningful action happened. Nobody was charged with harassment or stalking, even though there were claims that they would be charged, made by the officer. And so if you're being harassed by people, I personally think that'd be a reason to call 911. If 911 is coming out and it's clearly established harassing and they're not charging people, that isn't my fault for calling 911. That falls on the police officers for not doing their jobs. And so, in my opinion, I should not be here today. I should not be having to go to court for misuse of 911. But this is the world we live in. I know that it's not fair. And I know that it will never be fair for certain people. But in my opinion, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I refuse to be abused by the government. I refuse to let people that claimed to represent North Carolina abuse my rights and then cover it up. So I don't blame the judge in whatever decision he makes. He was fair at the end of the day. And so what it comes down to is the way I framed it, the way I came across. I've always tried to carry myself with dignity and honor. I know I don't do that when I curse sometimes, but I mean, I'm human, man. You know, having your rights violated by people that are supposed to protect you, and then covering it up, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm not exaggerating. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. My daughter's being traumatized. My wife being stressed out. All that stuff was unfair. Life isn't fair, right? So, tomorrow I will go. I will learn my fate. But even if I do go to jail, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on fighting. I'm going to keep on advocating. I'm going to keep filing lawsuits. Now, if I am found guilty, there are still avenues that I can explore. So I can immediately file an appeal. That should stay any penalties. Stay basically means that they're paused until I go to court for the appeal trial. So, honestly, I should have hired a lawyer on this one. But as I expressed before, previous two lawyers that I had, John Cox and Don Dickerson, for the criminal trial, which this very much is retaliation for, screwed me over. And you might be asking, how did they screw you over? Well, Don Dickerson knew that I was innocent. He admitted it, and I've already explained this numerous times, and I've actually put it on my videos. He didn't gather the evidence that I was looking for, the transcripts or any of that stuff. Funny enough, none of this stuff was done when I was defending myself, but in court today, they made sure to get they made sure to find copies of transcripts where I called. They found that 100% no problem. That shit wasn't questionable. But when it comes to defending myself, it was hard. I couldn't get anybody to gather the information. Don Dickerson did a bunch of other illegal. He did illegal stuff, but he did a bunch of other unethical things. There's actually people that have complaints about him that has contacted me. I'm not going to tell you their name, but people know, if you've been in the system long enough dealing with bullshit, you tend to know who's corrupt and who's not. I've been dealing with this for like 4 years, so I tend to have a pretty good idea. John Cox, directly as a friendship with the chief of police, Ron Parrish. John Cox refused to defend me properly. He also didn't look for the evidence that would have that proved the officer wasn't dispatched, which officer claimed he was dispatched. This is from the original charge. And John Cox also refused to cross-examine the witnesses that lied. The same ones that are harassing me and my family today, where I got this misuse of 911 charge from. So in other words, we have a government where all these people are working to criminally charge me, to stop me. But at no point have they attempted to investigate any of my claims. As a matter of fact, I asked the SBI agent in court, because he acknowledged that he saw some of the videos that I posted on TikTok. I asked him, did you investigate any of the claims that I brought forward about this department, the Gibsonville department? He said no. So did you make any attempt to investigate? No. Was anything done to verify my complaints? No. And this has been going on before the misuse for about 3 years, where I filed complaints, I contacted them, and I've been putting it online. So in other words, you didn't verify you didn't verify anything that I'm claiming, but the only attempt that you did was to only action you did was to charge me. That's all they did. It's more important to charge me, the victim, who's seeking accountability, where all this comes from, than go after the actual criminals. But these criminals have badges. These criminals work for the government. So that's where the problem lies. And so, yeah, if I go to jail, I resume making videos when I get out. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to pay any fines. I don't want this on my record because I didn't abuse 911. Today, I submitted. So the last thing I submitted today was a copy. Well, I submitted. So I Googled, and it even says it like it doesn't route you to the 911. Multiple things going on at one time, but it even says if you call after hours, the Gibsonville will route you to 911. I took a screenshot of that and I made a motion. It's a post trial thing, so maybe it gets heard and maybe it doesn't. But what I did was I created a paper trail, and so this documents the police chief lying, or they're not going to frame it as lying. They might frame it as, well, he was misinformed. But again, if they had actually investigated, they would have saw that. So, and then I added a supplemental thing showing that this is the link. Here's a video that I made. This proves that you can call, and it lines up with what I've been saying, that the majority of the calls that I made were not to 911. They were made to the non-emergency number, which routed to 911. So the intent is what matters. I intended to call the non-emergency line, but I can't help that I'm getting a 911, but I still needed assistance It was an emergency, but I needed immediate assistance. And so we'll see what the judge says. And again, I'm not giving up on this. I'm coming after these people with all I got. There's a scene from The Equalizer, the second one, where Denzel in Washington is one of my favorite actors. He's a real dude. He says, "I'm not going to war with you. You're going to war with me." That's where I stand.